Okay, so I'm audible. Thank you. So before I start my demo teaching, allow me to, of course, recognize our teacher, Miss Crystal Hansen, and GNED Series 7, the Contemporary World. And now, my name is Miranda Sarsastura, and I will be your teacher for this lesson or for today's class. So, allow me to start. Good morning, my dear students. Before we start our discussion, may I request everyone to please stand for a short prayer. Anyone in the class who wants to lead the prayer? Okay, in the name of the Father, and Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. And now, before you take your seats, may I request everyone to please arrange your chairs and pick up the pieces of paper under your chairs. Okay, you may take your seats. Class President, do we have absent today? Thank you, Miss President. None. That's good. How are you today, class? Great, fine, very good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Again, of course, before we proceed, what are our classroom rules during the meet? First one is you need to raise your hand, of course. There's a raise hand button when you can if you want to speak, you need to raise your hand. Okay? And listen when the teacher is speaking. And lastly, we need to respect everyone at all times. Okay, very good. So now, let's have a recap. I want you everyone to please gather your thoughts and focus on our lesson, and let's have a recap. Okay, so on the previous lesson, we discussed about the study of globalization. Can you still recall what are the underlying philosophies and ideologies in globalization? Very good. Before we formally discuss our discussion, allow me to share our objectives for today's class. Okay, the first one, identify the concept of economic globalization, examine the various theories and perspective, explaining the practice of international trade. The next one is recognize the rules and functions of different international economic organization. Okay, are we clear with that? Now, before we proceed to our lesson, of course, I prepare a very exciting activity. Okay, it's an activity time. So, this one, global economy world climate. Are you familiar with this activity? Not yet, right? Okay, with that being said, of course, what you're going to do is grab your phones, go online, and click the link below. But there's no link below, right? You have it here in our screen. We have the QR code, and what you're going to do is what's one word that pops onto your head when you think global economy. Are we clear with that? Are we certain with that? Okay, done. Okay, let's see the responses here in my end. Okay. Okay, there is already 18 responses, right? In my end. Oh, great job. I can see globalization. What else? Okay, some of you are still answering. Okay, transportation. That's good. Contemporary. Economy, prehistoric, that's good. Communication, trading, very good. Culture, inflation, that's good. What else? Exploitation, growth, very good. So those are the things that comes to your mind when you hear the word um cloud economy or the global economy rather. Okay, so let's wait for okay. Thank you for that. Okay, so Great job, student. I can see that because of all of these answers that you have different perspective about global economy, and I am delighted that all of the here in the class has a background knowledge in such topics. That's good to know. Okay, so thank you for your participation. Later on, let's see if all of your answers are correct. Well done, class. Well done. Okay, so now let's have a show. I have prepared another one. Okay, I have here a very short video entitled "What is the Global Economy?" I want you to watch this 2-minute video and tell me your insights about it. Understood? Okay, so here is the next video. Okay.
What is the global economy? The global economy is the world economy or the worldwide economy. It is all the economies of the world, the economy of every country, which we consider together as one giant economic system. It includes everything we buy, sell, and own on this planet. The global economy is one giant entity. The term global economy has two meanings. One, the economy of the whole planet, i.e., global GDP. And two, the way the world is today, with countries' economies so intertwined and interdependent that they all seem like parts of one whole. We call that whole the global economy. We currently live in a global economy. When people say we live in a global economy, they are talking about the interdependence of nations. Some people use the term to refer to, for example, banking and finance, which today has no national boundaries. If a giant bank in one country collapses, banks in other countries also suffer. In fact, whole economies might suffer. When we talk about the global economy in this context, we are referring to globalization. In today's global economy, more and more businesses are selling beyond their borders. The need for effective global marketing strategies has increased significantly. Global marketing refers to planning, producing or creating, placing, and promoting a company's products or services in the global market. Since the advent of the internet, the global economy has become relevant for many more businesses than before. In the past, only large corporations could call themselves multinationals. Today, even small online businesses can trade with other companies and individuals from anywhere in the world. The internet has changed many of the basic features of the global economy. Thank you for watching this Markets Business News video on the global economy.
Okay, that's it. So let's open again our PowerPoint presentation. Okay, that's good. So, okay, wow, it was very informative, right? It was informative video. What is your reaction to the short video? Of course, that's right, Hannah. The video was really interesting, right? And we can definitely learn a lot because it's brief and concise, right? Thank you so much for your input. So now I have here prepared a set of questions regarding the video. For me or for us to learn what are your takeaways. Okay, okay, send this call. Sorry for the interruption. Let's go back. Okay, so of course I have prepared here a wait for a while. Okay. Sorry for that interruption. Okay, so thank you so much for your understanding. So now let's go back. So I prepare here a set of questions where regarding the video that is shown earlier here for us to learn or for me to learn what are your takeaways about this video. Okay, let's have the first one. Okay, so the first one, did you understand the video? What was the video all about? Like anyone in the class? That's right. Okay, very good. The video is about the global economy and how countries around the world rather, are connected through trade and investment and economic activities. It is likely discuss how globalization has created opportunities for growth, but also presents challenges that require international cooperation. What about number two? Very good on your understanding of the video. What is the global economy according to the video? Okay, Trisha. Well done. It refers to the interconnectedness, right? The interconnectedness of countries to economies, through other countries' economies rather, and international trade, investment, and financial transactions. It's like a big network, right? Where countries buy, sell, and exchange goods and services with each other. Of course, it influencing each other's growth or economic growth rather and stability. What about the last one? Why is international trade important? Who can tell me your insights? Okay, very good. Indeed, the international trade is important because it allows us countries to get goods and services that they don't produce themselves. For example, here in the Philippines, if we don't produce such product or services, we can get it from other countries, right? Okay, good. So now, um, let's have the next one, which is how do countries benefit from global trade? Okay, I want to hear your thoughts about this one. Okay, James. Good job, James. Countries benefit from global trade because it allows them to access goods and services that they don't produce, like what I said earlier, right? Of course, it boosts the economic growth and create jobs and provide new markets for their products, diba? Of course, rather ultimately improving the lives of their netizens. What about the last one? What is globalization and how does it impact us? This is a very interesting question. Well done, students. I am delighted to hear all your answers and I love the confidence and energy. Okay? Thank you so much. By the way, did you understand everything, class? Do you have questions regarding the activity? Very good. Now, let's proceed. Um, let's proceed to the next question. Okay. Okay. So, what is? I think we're done with this one, right? Okay. So, sorry for that. So now, let's now proceed to our main discussion today about global economy. What is global economy? Anyone in the class who wants to read the definition? Okay, let's hear it from Carl. Thank you. So, in the when you say global economy or economic globalization, it is what? Hmm? When you say global economy or economic globalization, it refers, right? It refers to the free movement, right? The free movement of what? Of goods, capital, services, technology, and information. It is increasing economic rather integration and interdependence of national, regional, and local economies across the world. Yes, through an intensification of cross-border movements of goods, services, technologies, and capital. Are we certain with that? Very good. So now let's proceed to this one. Globalization affects market of the three kinds. First one is commodities, labor, assets, and debts. Okay, of course, commodities, the goods and services of all varieties. Of course, through globalization, we can get services, goods, right, in all varieties. In labor, because of globalization, we have workers, we have employees, right, who produce goods and services. And assets, of course, because of globalizations, we have banks, security, loans, what else? Titles of land, physical capital, right? So those are um, the globalization affects markets of three kinds. Okay, questions regarding our topic? Okay, so none. Excellent. Very good. Now let's continue our discussion. So what is this one? International trading system. Are you familiar with this one? Not yet. Okay, so let's proceed. With that being said, anyone in the class who would like to volunteer to read the text? Okay, so everyone, so we can learn about international trading system. Don't be shy. Okay, so thank you, Mary. Can you please read the definition to the class? Okay, so very well said. In simple words, right? When we say international trading system, this means that countries work together to make trading fair, predictable, what else? And open to everyone. Yes, open to everyone. Many countries agree to rules so trade can happen smoothly. Of course, we need to set a rules for the trading to happen smoothly, right? They also have talks to make new agreements and improve the trading, right? So of course, we need to have the system on how we're going to export and import our goods and services. Okay, so that is, and of course, it was done by the different countries, one country to another, right? Interdependence, are they are connected with each other in terms of importing and exporting goods and services. Are we clear with that? Very good. So now, here's the next one. So, what is the importance of international trade? Okay, it says here in the first one, it enables us to use fully utilize the resources. Very good. We can use all the resources from other country, and of course, in the other country we can use also our resources. The next one is the trading partners get goods cheaper than otherwise because every country produces these goods in the production of which it has a less comparative cost. Of course, it is much cheaper, right? Sometimes um the goods or services from other country is much cheaper than here in our country. So that is the importance of international trading. Okay. So now let's move on to the next slide. Foreign trade policy. What do you mean foreign trade policy? Of course, when you say foreign policy, it is the exchange of capitals, goods, and services across international borders or territories. Now we're now going to exchange our capitals or goods. For example, here in Philippines to Switzerland, Canada, we exchange goods, services, okay, across international, right? In most countries, it is represent significant share growth or domestic product or GDP. Are we clear with that? Very good. So, what is the advantages of foreign trade? What do you think? What is the advantages? Hmm. Of course, it helps us or each country to specialize in production of those goods, right? Which be suits in its environment. Of course, for example, in Italy, they have they produce all different tasty wine, right? Of course, it helps those country to produce those goods and import it to our country, right? It enables a country to obtain goods by importing which cannot produce due to higher costs at home. Whereas here in the Philippines, right? Um, some of the businessman or the businesswoman or a company produces wines, but of course, it is only limited, right? And because of sometimes because of a higher cost of the products or the goods, we cannot consume them, so we get it from other country, right? So that is the advantages of foreign trade. We can get cheaper goods and services. So now let's move on to foreign trade policy. Now we're going to, of course, have this one. Since we're done with foreign trade, now we're now done. We're now going to foreign trade policy. It is a government actions. Remember, this is a government action, especially tariffs. Okay, I will tell you what is tariff in the next slide or in the next continuation of our discussion. Just hold still. And of course, the import quotas and export subsidies designed to increase net export by promoting export or restricting imports. Actually, this is policies about taxes, the quotas or the maximum imported products, the payment that designed to increase net export by promoting export, restricting imports. Um, this only means that when you say foreign trade policy, there is a policy with the how you're going to process or how you're going to process on how you're going to import or export your products. That is foreign trade policy. Okay, of course, there is a minimum goods that you can import, vice versa, to one country to another. So that is foreign trade policy. Of course, there's also a issue about, of course, tariffs, tax, okay, on importing goods and services. So much for that. Let's emphasize the importance of global trade. So countries trade with each other when on their own they do not have resources or capacity to satisfy their own needs and wants. Of course, right. The importance of this one is when countries cannot produce one goods here in our or in its own country, or it can satisfy their own needs and wants. By developing this global trade, we can access different goods and services, right? And it can satisfy as consumers or consumers in our daily usage. For example, this is cities, right? So that's the importance of global trade. So now let's move forward to the theory of international trade. Okay, so to make it simple, international trade theories are simply theories is it explain is it explaining us about what is trade. Okay, when you say trade, it is the concept of exchanging goods and services between two people and other entities. Yes, it is a theory that tells us about trading, which is the concept of exchanging goods and services between two people or entities. Are we clear with that? Questions? None. Okay, this is the concept, right? So, okay, this one, the benefits of trading internationally. So now, I will tell you what are those or terminologies here. And of course, since this benefits of trading internationally, this is very crucial to our discussion, right? So here is this one. Variety of goods. When you say variety of goods, of course, the goods, the products, wine, um, necessity, anything, anything that is product. Okay, so the next one is outlet for surpluses. This is the selling of extra goods to other countries. That is outlet for surpluses. The next one is reduction of market fluctuations. Okay, so when you say this one or when you see one, it is making prices more stable. Reduction. Okay, reduction. And of course, from the concept lower cost, the lower producing goods or service that is much cheaper, lower cost. Okay. So the next one, production efficiency. When you say production efficiency, it is making the most goods possible with the available resources. Okay, and of course, resource specialization when you're focusing on making specific goods or services that a country is good at producing. And innovation, of course, creating new things or improving the existing ones. We need to innovate, we need to create new one, right? And investment. I think you're already familiar with this. Putting money into something to make it a profit later. If you're going to invest money into a business, of course, you can make a profit later, right? So that is investment. What about the next one? Man-made barriers come in several. So here's tariff. Okay. So what is tariff? Tariff is the taxes on imported goods. Yes, tax of imported goods. For example, um, Switzerland wants to send their goods here in the Philippines. They need to what? They need to give tariffs or money or tax on the imported goods that you're going to bring here in the Philippines. So that is tariffs, imported goods. And of course, when you say non-tariffs, barriers to trade, this is non-tariff, okay? When you say this one, it is the rules that or regulation that makes it is hard make it harder to import or export goods. Why? Because you need to what? To follow the rules and regulations. You need to get license, right? You need to get license on so you can import or export your products. You need to also meet the quotas, the limited quotas, the maximum amount of goods that you must import. Of course, because that's the rules and regulations, right? And of course, when you see import licenses, since we're talking about license earlier, right? When you see import licenses, it is the official permission to bring goods into country. Okay, yes, you need to ask for official permission to bring goods into a country. Importing goods to other country. That is import licenses. And in other hand, when you say export licenses, you need to get official permission to send goods out of a country. Philippines to Canada, Philippines to other country. That's what you're going to do. Okay, so as for permission, it is of official permission to send goods out of a country. So next one is import quotas. Like what I said earlier, the amount or the limited amount of goods that you can import. Okay, that can be imported. For example, here in Switzerland, there is a specific or a minimum amount that they can import here in the Philippines, and that's what you call import quotas. Okay, so what is subsidies? Means the subsidies, there is a government payment to help business or industries. Okay, just the payment. So when you see again voluntary export restraint. Okay, so if you still remember what is import quotas, is a limitation, right, of how you're going to import your goods here in the Philippines from other country, right? But here in voluntary export restraint, there is also a limitation, but of course, in the other side, in export, yes, in exporting, since they have limitation in importing their products here in our country, of course, there's also a voluntary export restraint of goods importing to other country, vice versa. And of course, the next one is local content requirements. When you see local content requirements, This is the rules, again, rules that say a certain percentage of a product must be made within a country. Yes, there is a certain product that must be made within a country. Are we clear with that? Okay, so questions or clarifications? None? Okay, let's proceed. Okay, so Bretton Woods system. Okay, I will not further this one because this is very brief, and um we're now here in our another lesson. So Bretton Woods system. When you say Bretton Woods system, this is a monetary management. Yes, a monitoring, say money, a money management, which established the rules for commercial and financial relation among United States, Canada, Western Europe, Australia, and Japan after 1944 between. Yes, this is we're talking about a system about money management that is established the rules for commercial and financial among these mentioned countries. Okay, so that is Bretton Woods system. And of course, this system is the first system that is used to control the value of money between different countries. Take note, it is used to control the value of money between the countries. It meant that each country had to have a monetary policy. Okay, and it means that each country should have a monetary policy rules or policy that keep the exchange rate of its currency. Okay, that they must have a rules or policy in their what in their country or in their the value of their money. So that is Woods system. Are we clear with that? Very good. So, of course, the Bretton Woods Conference, officially known as United Nations Monetary Financial Conference, was this gathering of delegates from 44 nations. Yes. Take note, 44 nations that meet from July 1 to 22, 1944. Of course, at New Hampshire to agree upon series of new rules for the post um, World War II international monetary system. So the objective of this system is that to achieve exchange rate stability. Yes, it wants to have a stability and promote international trade and development. Of course, the end of Bretton Woods system, it ended on August 15, 1971 because of President Richard M. Nixon. He announces his new economic policy program to create a new prosperity without war. This is known as Nixon Shock. Okay, so do you have questions regarding our lesson? Questions? Okay, so questions or clarifications regarding our lesson. Okay, do you understand, student? They have questions? None? Okay, so job well done, students. I hope that you have learned a lot from our discussion for today. With that being said, you may now access your activity number 1 and quiz 1 for this lesson. By the way, do you have questions regarding the task? Excellent. That will be all for today. Have a blessed weekend and stay hydrated. Goodbye, class.